Fucking dumb. So welcome to just started. Welcome to this week's edition of we still don't have a name for this. I say this every week. We got to come up with one. But Thursday Live, as Dave just said. We're here in Bucharest, Romania. We're at Van Gogh Cafe, so a little plug for Van Gogh. They've been awesome to us. We're upstairs in one of their meeting rooms, and basically, I love this place because they got, not only they have good food, but they have all these meeting rooms that allow us to basically use for free as long as we're eating here. So it's been awesome. Now we're going to dive in today, and we've got some questions. We got some deeper questions, and we're going to take a look at some of these deeper questions. We got 4 of them I've got here, and they're comments that that I am responding to in regard from previous videos, and we're just going to dive in right now. Let's get to it. First one is from Bramble 451. Apathy is similar to depression in that it saps the motivations to do anything. When you ask yourself, what's important to me? The answer that comes back is nothing. The answer to every question about what's important is nothing. And the answer to every effort is why bother? Why do you get your brain, how do you get your brain out of this state? Who cares? It's a great question, Bramble, and it's one that a lot of people have to deal with. And there's a thing. If you've read David Hawkins' book, Letting Go, which talks a lot about apathy in this relationship, he talks a lot about an example would be, he says that apathy is the belief that I can't. And grief, which is a step up from apathy, is the belief that I won't. And they're slightly different. I can't means I can't do it, period. I won't means I can, but I won't. And so what I want you to do is start looking at it from that perspective. Can I, and ask yourself this, can I switch this from I can't to I won't? From I can't to I won't. Start to think of it that way, because when you switch from I can't to I won't, you're actually literally changing the way you look at it. You're looking at it a little differently. Suddenly, I can do it, I'm just not. And then it's easy to say, well, wait a minute, if I won't do it, but I can I even let that go? And you can start climbing up the ladder. What you have to do is climb up a little bit at a time. It's not going to be a huge leap. You don't step out of apathy all at once. You step out a little bit at a time. Now, the next thing, there's several ways to do this. So I'm going to give several of them to you. Another thing you can do is look for an area of your life you're not in apathy and go be in that area, play in that area, move in that area. Maybe it's dance, maybe it's some form of movement, which is great for the waking up the body. Maybe, I know somebody who watched, he literally spent a weekend watching really sad films that brought him into grief, which is where you cry. And he cried out so much emotion that he came out of his apathy, and that was huge for him. And he moved in that direction. Maybe it's walking out at the beach for a while, getting in the sunshine, something that kind of brings your vibration, the heaviness of your body up lighter. And then you can start looking from that perspective. You could, once you're lighter, you can go back and start doing a releasing process on the apathy, because you'll naturally be lighter. Doing meditations is another huge one. When you're in apathy, just simply sitting and meditating, doing nothing. Is the camera still on? Okay. So simply sitting and meditating is huge. That's where you're basically almost doing nothing, but you're doing so much. It's one of the most powerful ways to break apathy is meditation. So I'd get online and find a basic meditation you like. I have some that I've played with and talked about in some of the videos. I'm not sure which one. Maybe I should go over some basic meditations and some of our teaching. I got a bunch of stuff I want to do some teachings on, and that would be a good one. Matter of fact, I'm going to add it to the list right now because we want to do a basic releasing video and a basic meditation video. So I want to have it for you guys. I'm going to add it to the list while we're on the call. Meditation and releasing. Okay. We are good. Okay, I've got those noted down. So, and then the next thing I want to talk about in relation to apathy, and this will give you a better perspective on what apathy is. Some people say in apathy that I can't feel anything. I can't feel, they say that they're so numbed out they can't feel. But in reality, apathy is not the absence of feeling. I'm going to say that again. Apathy is not the absence of feeling. And if you've read Hawkins' book or Sedona Method, those are great books to understand the emotions a little bit better. But this is a principle I've been playing with a lot. And I think it's helped me immensely. And it's helped some other people that I've talked to about it. Apathy is literally feeling too much, not the absence of feeling, but feeling too much. You're trying to feel everything at once. Imagine if you were a radio and you're supposed to tune to a specific station so that you can hear the music. Maybe you're trying to tune to a salsa station. I've been dancing some salsa lately, so playing with it. So that's kind of on my mind. But you're trying to tune to a salsa station. And imagine that you're like a tuner. You tune into an idea, to a feeling, to an emotion to start to project that into your life. And what you're doing with apathy is you're overloading by tuning into all the stations at once or a bunch of stations at once. And imagine what that would sound like on your radio if suddenly you were tuned in to 50 different stations, to 60 different stations. Your mind would, even 10, even 5, your mind would start to overload and it would still couldn't process it all. So you would have to, in a sense, learn to almost back up and start to relax and start to almost isolate the station you want. Don't think of learning or realizing or processing information as the idea of, how do I say this, getting in touch, developing an idea. Think of it as the idea already exists. Everything we can think of already exists, or at least the idea for it exists, or we couldn't conceive it. In a sense, there's a frequency wave, if you look at quantum physics, for it, or if you look at Bruce Lipton's work, and you just have to tune into that. But if you tune into too much, it's not going to work. If you get on a bicycle and you're going to learn to ride, you already have the ability to ride the bike, or you couldn't have learned how. So the ability was in your body. The key ingredient is balance. Your body had the ability to balance before you got on the bike. What you had to do was figure out what overcorrecting was and stop overcorrecting and find that little space of balance. From the beginning, you're all over the place. That's the same as tuning into too much. And as you isolate just the right spot, that's when it all starts to work. That's when flow hits. And then you follow that spot, that in a sense, that point of balance, that frequency. Well, think of again apathy as you've over tuned in to everything and you're trying to fix too many things, take care of too many things. You're trying to make too many things. And so what happens is through the overload, I can't deal with it all. I can't handle this. That's what meditation does. It teaches you to drop out of all that and just tune into stillness underneath it all. And that's why meditation is so important. That's why yoga, things like yoga can be really good too. So it's about moving out of that space. Now, if you want to understand this idea that I talked about earlier, from moving from can't to won't, read Hawkins' book. I think it's a very good book for this topic. Read particularly the chapters on apathy and grief and climbing up the scale there in his book, Letting Go. Sedona Method, also a good book by Hale Dwoskin, has some good information on it too. So hopefully this helps you. And again, play with meditations. I'm going to revisit that. Play with some different meditations. There's tons of them on YouTube, really good ones too. Go out there and look for them and just try different ones out. And what you're going to do is, in apathy, the hardest part is getting started. But what I'm going to say to you is you're already past, to some degree, I can't, Bramble. Otherwise, you wouldn't have even asked the question. You're already past what's the point, or you wouldn't have asked the question. You're already into there's got to be a way, which is moving up the scale a little bit. So there's part of you trying to tune into the answer. So I invite you into that. Okay, the next one, question number 2 of 4, is from I'm probably going to mess up your name, is Gaetan Osman, Gaetan Osman, Osman. Hey, Brian, this is a longer one. Hey, Brian, I don't know if you've got time to read this, but I'll leave my comment in case you do. Just want to say that I'm a huge fan of your work. Thank you. For years, I've struggled with insecurities and the nice guy syndrome. I'm a model and I have played rugby league on a national level, but unfortunately, this has done nothing to resolve my inner conflicts and how to approach women. I have created a virtual wall that shuts everyone out. Although I recognize this, I am still having a hard time to break this wall down. For me, to write about this here is tough, but your videos are as close to anything I've ever read or seen on the internet to fix this. Could you tell me where to go from here? What would be the best course of action to take to get gears of change spinning again? Hope to be part of one of your workshops one day. You've no idea how many people you're helping with these videos. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Best course of action, in my opinion, is to actually get out to a workshop. I'm going to say that straight out. For somebody that's really stuck, getting out to a workshop. Now, you've come to the realization that having great looks, because obviously you do or you wouldn't be a model, doesn't change anything. I've had a lot of students come in with I had one guy come in that was absolutely incredible looking. I mean, I thought he was good looking, and I'm not gay, but I was like, wow, look at this guy, 6 foot, like 6'4", chiseled jaw, the whole bit, deep, perfect voice, and he still couldn't get a woman to save his life. All that changed, and so what I want to do is talk a little bit about the nice guy syndrome in relation to what's going on with you and shutting people out. The nice guy syndrome is born out of a sense of abandonment and usually inconsistent parenting where you're getting mixed signals, something like this. I'm not going to go into all the details of what bursts it. If you want to understand a lot more about the nice guy syndrome, read No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. Okay. If you want to understand what you're growing out of the nice guy syndrome into, read Way of the Superior Man by David Data. That's what we're teaching, is how to become more third stage. Now, in the nice guy, you're climbing out of second stage that David Data talks about, and there's first stage we're moving. You're moved away from. In the first stage, it's my way or the highway. I'm in charge. It's a man who doesn't have much connection to feeling, but he's got a lot of connection to his attention skills, stepping into tension, making shit happen, and he tries to control everything through force. That's his power. And in the second stage, you go into the nice guy syndrome. That's when you first start to develop your ability to feel. You start to develop your vulnerability. This is your feminine side. And what happens is you become hypersensitive to emotions, because this is all new to men around the world, really, as we're going through this evolution. We're going from caterpillar to cocoon to butterfly, in a sense, a masculine butterfly, but butterfly. And what happens is in the second stage, that's nice guy, that's the cocoon stage, we're a little bit of a mess. If you've ever seen a butterfly, it kind of turns into goo and then it rebuilds, or goes from caterpillar into goo and then it rebuilds. So we're a little bit of a mess. And then it rebuilds itself in the cocoon into this butterfly. So what I want to say is that you are in that second stage. It's not a bad thing, because you're developing your ability to feel, and you're walling people off because of your ability to feel. You're walling people off because you're probably feeling too much. So I want to invite you into this idea that this sensitivity that you're developing, you don't want to get rid of it. You want to contrast it by bringing back your grounding, your masculine, your ability to walk into emotions and deal with them. So an example of this is that a man in the first stage is really good at walking into tension. Go take, in combat, let's say a soldier or a Navy SEAL, go take that machine gun on the hill. And he's got to go right into the tension of dealing with that life or death situation. A fireman, a police officer, a construction worker working on a high rise, things like this. This is the masculine domain, dealing with tension. A car crash, run out there, help people. In the second stage, we are also dealing with tension, but we're dealing with the tension of vulnerability. It's a little different. We're not dealing with a life-threatening situation like like a fire or a car crash or combat or something like that, building, we're dealing with emotions. So let's say you take that same soldier who's really, maybe he's a special forces soldier, and we say, approach that beautiful girl at the bar. He might say, what? No, I'm not doing that. Why? And why would he do that? Because approaching her means he has to deal with her emotions. And she's going to poke at him and prod him and test him, and she's going to play with him. And he can't use physical force on her. He has to play in the land of emotions now. He has to step into those emotions. He has to feel her emotions. He has to listen to her emotions. He has to process her emotions. He has to, and that's fucking, you know, that's fucking hard work for a guy like that, right? That hasn't developed emotional capacity. Now, I'm not saying this, there are plenty of people in that field that probably can do this, I'm sure. I'm just saying in general, for somebody that hasn't developed the other side. So that's hard work. That's scary shit for a lot of guys, stepping right into all those emotions, feeling the pain, the nervousness, like, what if she doesn't like me? What if she does like me? What if she challenges me in a certain way? What about all these subtle, tiny little emotions she's shooting at me? Turn on, curiosity, teasing, push-pull energy, playful. That's all going on. It's a much subtler dance. It's a very subtle dance. So what we're learning to do in the third stage is bring back the masculine from the first stage, but now using it not to just ground tension, tense situations, you know, the combat, the fire, or whatever it is, but we're now learning to use it to ground emotions, sadness, loneliness, hurt, joy, turn on, curiosity, teasing, playing, and we're learning to step into it. We're not becoming like women. This is the mistake men make in the second stage. In the second stage, we lose our groundedness to our emotions, and we become kind of needy. And it's like, oh, please love me. You know, I miss you. Come back. We can work it out. And there's this needy kind of cry because we don't know how to handle all these emotions. But when we hit that third stage, we start learning to reactivate that part of ourselves that could ground all this tension, our ancestors that could handle all the masculine stuff that they had to deal with. But now we're using it to ground emotion. We're not becoming needy. We're stepping into it and saying stuff like, and this is literally paraphrase, I don't remember the words I used many years ago, about 10 years ago. I said to a woman, I miss you. Because we'd broken up. We'd been broken up for a while. And it was a short relationship, but I really liked her. And she'd been pulling away. And so I went up to her, and somebody told me to do this. It was the first time I did this, and it scared the shit out of me. And I said, I have to talk to you. And she was like, what, blah, blah, blah. She's running around busy. She's almost trying to avoid me. And I said, no, wait. I want to tell you something. It's important. And then she got it. I saw her mind, what? And she turns, looks at me. She was by her car, turns off the car, looks at me, goes, what? And she challenged me right there, right in the middle of the emotion. And I knew that was it. That was the moment that I was going to step into the tension. Now, I was scared to do this. I didn't think it was going to work. So what I said was, I miss you, or something to that effect. I can't remember the exact words. I'm moving away soon. I may never see you again. So I want to say this before I end up leaving. I miss you. I want to work it out. And if you don't feel the same way, that's fine. I can handle it. I'm a man. But if you do, I want to make sure I say this before I leave. You're beautiful. And I just sat there in the tension, and I didn't move. I didn't ask her. I didn't get needy. I didn't say, please, let's fix this. Come on, we can work it out. I just sat there. And in that, I saw her mind tick. You know, she gives you that little look. She looks to see if you're going to break. And then boom, she opened up. We started talking. And we ended up talking for 45 minutes, sitting out on the sidewalk on the curb behind her car that night. And it was amazing. That was my first experience with really stepping into and grounding emotional tension like that. And I began to realize the power of it. You're built to do this, guys. You just don't know it yet. It's the next evolution of the masculine. But first, you have to go through this stage of being able to deal with emotions. Now, coming back to the first part, the nice guy is constantly, what you're doing is constantly trying to help everybody. Nice, overloading because he's taking on too much, and then running away and hiding and walling off. Never really, even when he's going forward, letting anybody in. When he's out helping everybody, he's racing too fast to let anybody in. Here, let me do this for you. Let me do that. Okay, I'll be there. He's not stopping to be present with anybody. And then when he gets overloaded, he disappears for a week, a month, whatever he takes, whatever long it takes, and he hides in his cave. Again, disconnecting from people. The connection happens when all that stops. That's the noise on top. It's a polarity. It's a dance from helping too much to pulling away to helping too much to pulling away to helping too much to pulling away. And you're stopping that dynamic. So for you, Osman, it's about stopping that dynamic. And I would recommend reading those books. And you're going to have to get in touch with the part of yourself that's being overly nice, and get in touch with the part of yourself that's pulling away. And you're going to have to start to break these patterns and get under the surface and get real, like I did, learning to ground even yourself. You're going to start with yourself. The part of yourself that wants to race to avoid any real emotion, and the part of yourself that wants to avoid, run away to avoid any real emotion. You're going to have to ground all of that, Osman, and it's really important, okay? So read the book, again, No More Mr. Nice Guy, and Way of the Superior Man, and kind of look at it from this perspective. You're breaking this cycle up, and you have to get an awareness of it. I would actually journal when you're saying yes when you don't want to all the time, and start to do a practice of saying no, and literally go out to practice saying no to people. Go out and try saying no, just little no's throughout the day, and then write down the experience of no. I'm setting a boundary right here, but not running away, not leaving, not saying no and I'm going to go hide in my cave for a week, but saying no, I'm going to, just be present with you. I'm still going to hang out with you. No, I can't do that, but keep, in a sense, keeping your heart open, keeping your emotional vulnerability there. That's one. Number two, I want you to practice, when you do find yourself disconnecting, as quick as you can, start reconnecting. Connect faster each time. Don't, are we good? Okay. So I don't want you to disconnect, okay? So I want you to reconnect as soon as you can. Pull out your journal and journal about that. You know, I disconnected. I found myself avoiding for the last few days. And here's what I'm going to do to reconnect and start reconnecting to people. Because what you're most afraid of is the emotion. And then learning to ground. Because you're going to have to ground those emotions. You're going to have to do processes where you're working with your legs, with your body, learning to ground. Whether you're doing that through yoga, grounding happens through the legs, through the feet, almost like a rooting system. Imagine roots into the ground, energy running up and down your legs. We don't have time to go into all that in this video, but I'm going to put that down as well. Maybe we'll do a video on grounding practices here in the near future too, and that could help too. And okay, so I wrote that down too, because that could be a whole video in itself. So learning to ground. There's lots of material out there on grounding, and lots of great information. Even getting into stuff like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Sistema, if you've got any really good Sistema teachers, which is a Russian martial art, they teach grounding really well. Judo teaches grounding really well. So these are martial arts that teach grounding. I don't have, yoga I know teaches grounding. I don't know which yoga would be the best, but they teach it from the posture kind of situation. What I like about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Sistema is they teach it from a physical perspective. Now that's physical grounding, but then now you have to apply it to emotion. Same principle. Okay, so we'll teach a video on grounding, and I do have some demos, I believe, on the in some of the products on grounding on our membership site, and in there you'll see some demos of playing with different emotions, grounding through the body and stuff like that. So again, we'll do a little short video at some point. So hopefully, let me take a quick look, make sure I answered all your questions. What would be the best course of action? Get your spinning in, and definitely get out to one of the workshops if you can do that. We got one in July. What's the exact dates of that one? You got it right. 8th and 9th. July 8th and 9th.
In LA.
in LA. It's only, what, how much is it right now?
Early bird's $97.
Early bird's $97. I mean, it's nothing. He gets a chance to come to LA. I don't know what city you're in. Meet us. We just did one in Romania with Zan Perion, which was awesome. And then we're also going to be doing one later in Vegas, I believe in August. So Las Vegas, if you want to go there, with Zan. So there's the one that's in LA is just going to be me. There's going to be one in Las Vegas with me and Zan, and both of them will have some of these perspectives involved. Okay. So next question number 3.
Only a couple minutes left before Zan gets here.
We got 15 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, I know. We're halfway through. We've been going for. Okay. Noticing we're having a meeting with Zan this morning here, so to discuss some of this. So notice the know-it-all. That's the commenter that put his video up, or put his comment in one of my videos. I'm not even sure which video these are in because these were sent over to me by one of our team. I need to find out which videos are these in because I'm kind of curious. Okay. I hope you respond to this comment. It's going to be deep. I notice your game is more masculine, standing there firm and letting the women play their games while you remain unfazed and unreactive. I noticed RSD Tyler's game is now like this too in his later years. However, when he started out, he played a lot of games, used a lot of his own back turns, push pulls. I've been in the game now 6 months, and I use a lot of fake takeaways, hot and cold. I love you, hate yous. I create tension and escalate under the sarcasm frame to create plausible deniability. I never escalate in a real way. I'm always 1 minute. I'm always 1 minute the cocky asshole and 1 minute the romantic lover, but always sarcastic. When I'm vulnerable, I feel like girls instantly get too comfortable, and then I get comfortable and I get trapped in that comfort, and all sexual tension dies. Is my game just going through its natural evolution phase? What I would say to you is, I don't know what your success is with meeting women. Notice the know-it-all. But reading all this, you got a lot going on here, and it doesn't sound bad. It sounds like what I mean by this is it sounds like you're having some level of success, and it sounds like you got a basic push-pull kind of energy. And now what I want to present to you is a different idea about it. Yes, my game is more masculine and stand in the tension, move, be really direct about what you communicate. But that doesn't mean there's no push-pull. There's no dance. There's no teasing. There's no sarcasm at times. That's a lot of fun. But I don't look at it as something I'm doing to the girl to get her. It's more like something I'm doing with the girl, and we're both having fun in our own little game together. Like when I tease her, I don't like you. If I say something like, you know what, I don't think I like you right now. My eyes are saying I like you completely. My tone is saying I like you completely. I'm penetrating. I might even be turned on penetrating, saying I don't like you, and getting really forward with her while getting turned on. But the difference is I don't believe I'm doing anything to her. As Zan would say, women are complicit in their own seduction. She knows exactly what's going on. And she's dancing with me. And we're playing together. I'm leading towards being direct in my communication. Yes, I like you. And I want to move this forward. And I'm the man. That's my job. And I'll do a little push-pull, but I'll keep moving forward. And sometimes I'll be really direct about it. And very direct. And I don't use as much push-pull. I'm not doing it so that she doesn't, so that I can sneak my way in. I'm doing it because it's fun for both of us. And if it's not fun for me, why do it? It's not a job to meet women. It shouldn't be. Ultimately, in the end, maybe it feels a little jobbish in the beginning because you're figuring it out a little bit at a time. But in the end, it's not a job. It's really supposed to be fun. And when you meet women, it's about a dance between the two of you. It's always a dance. It's about you two having fun together. It's about you two laughing together. It's about you two getting your own little bubble and having your own little story together. Another thing Zan says, I like to quote Zan, is he actually quotes like Casanova's memoirs, where he would send women notes that says, lady, madam, I would like to start an intrigue with you. That sense of a dance, like, I want to create our own little bubble and go have a story on the side nobody's going to know about. It's that intimate space, right? And so as far as when you're vulnerable, vulnerability is very seductive. When you're not needy. When you're needy, it's terribly unseductive. It does the opposite effect. So when you're not needy, what vulnerability does is it pulls a woman in. I'm a man, I can handle my emotions, but I like you. I want to get to know you better. You're fascinating. Or, you know what? If you don't feel the same way, so what? That's kind of the attitude. I like you. I want to get to know you. Who are you? She rejects you. Okay. No big deal. It's not a big deal because there's a million more women, and 10 minutes later, she may change her mind. I've literally had that happen where it's not really even changing their mind. They're kind of evaluating sometimes. Actually, one completely rejected me. I'm thinking of right now, just one popped in my head. And I came back and talked to her like a half hour later, and she completely was all over me. And so it's really the moment has a lot to do with it. So let that moment be there. Now, as far as you getting too comfortable, what's probably happens, you have a little bit of the nice guy going on, and you cover it up with this cocky, sarcastic game that it may be a little forced, and maybe not naturally you. It may not be coming from feeling out of your body where you're teasing because it's fun, but from your head where you're teasing because it's a program you're running. You want to get out of all programs. You want to do it all from feeling where you two are dancing together. You can feel her turn on. She feels your turn on because that's really what's doing it. It's your emotions in your body. Like when I say, you know what, you're trouble. I don't think I like you. There's a turn on in my body or my heart's open and I'm feeling warm. I'm feeling here. I'm not thinking here. I don't even know usually what the next words are going to be. They just come in the moment because I'm surrendered down here. If I'm up here planning, everything is going to go sideways. So I want to start learning to really feel her emotions, have her feel my emotions. You can only do that by learning to open right here and feel your emotions in your heart, feel your emotions in your stomach, which will be heavier. And then all the way going down to feel your turn on. You want to be able to feel those places so that when you're talking, that's what's kind of moving you. It's the same as the gut brain. Look up the gut brain on Google. Gut as a second brain. It's an instinctual brain. And look at how all athletes are, when they're in their gut, when they're in their flow state, they're not thinking anymore. They're just moving and going. The Rise of Superman is another great book where Kotler talks about this, is that how we're breaking all these world records by getting out of our heads and learning to flow. And I'll tell you, meeting women in flow is so much more fun than having a bunch of stored stories in your head thinking about it. And that's what you're learning to do, is develop this sense of flow state. So what happens is you probably drop down into this place where you're slightly more out of your program, and then you don't know what to do. And what I would do immediately is I'll feel in my body, because I can feel my body, the tension dropping. And if it drops too much or it gets flat, like a flat note, then I'm either going to spike the tension back up, or I'm going to drop it deep with deep vulnerability and then come back up, depending what the moment wants, like playing music. So as soon as it gets a little flat and maybe we've had a moment where we got comfortable, and that's good. It's not a bad thing. Then I'm going to say, let's spike it back up again. Let's change the note, and we're going to bring it back up. And I might start teasing her again. And you got to feel comfortable to go back into that. I might start reaching over. Instead of teasing her, I might start a physical conversation, touch her hand and raise the tension that way. Play with the hand a little bit, and might slide my hand on the small of her back and bump up next to her. And, or I might feel, play with the palm of her hand a little bit. Don't be afraid to push that tension. I remember I once waited, this is an example of this. I waited till we were just having a really nice, smooth conversation. There was nothing deep, not a little bit of tension. She was telling me a story. Everything was relaxed. I wanted this to be the most awkward possible moment to do this. So we were sitting there having a glass of wine, getting to know each other. And I just started slowly leaning in. And my intent was to kiss her, but I wanted to move really slow at the most awkward moment. Why did I do this? Because in the past, I used to be terrified of kissing the girl. I'd have to turn around, massage her back, do all this stuff. So in this moment, as I started to lean in a little bit at a time and got closer and closer and closer at the most awkward moment, I was testing my own capacity to deal with the tension. And the more relaxed I stayed while doing it, the better I knew it was going to turn out. And that's exactly what happened. It turned out amazing. It turned out beautiful. I stepped into the tension slowly. It got really awkward. I just kept grounding the awkward instead of getting nervous myself. I just let it get awkward and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the weirdness of the moment and just kept moving anyways, kind of laughing at myself inside, having fun. And the more I had fun with it, the more she liked it. And what happened though, she got a little nervous. And as I got about this close to her, you know, to kiss her, I stopped because I could feel her tense up inside. But I didn't pull back. I just stayed right there that close. And I said, I can't remember what I said. I think I said, "Are you okay?" Or something like that. I could feel her tense up. I go, and I just stopped right there. I said something. I can't remember what it was, just really quick. And she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm kissing you, but I'm still right here." I said it very slowly. "I'm kissing you." And she said, "Oh." And then I said, "Do you want me to stop?" I stayed right there in that tension, always giving her the space. This is the two of us together. It's not me doing something to her. I want her to be right there with me. And she said, "No." And I said, "Okay." And I leaned in and we had this beautiful kiss. And then after I backed up, I looked at her and she said, "Did I ruin that moment?" I said, "No, you made it better." It was beautiful. And I did that to show myself I had gotten so comfortable with awkward moments, and I kind of pushed it more since then. That way, when it does get flat, you can move it in a new direction. You can do something weird. You can sing a random song. You can be spontaneous to kind of shift the gears of that moment back into place again. So that's what I would work on is literally go up and start talking to some girls, have a good conversation, just stop talking and ground, relax, enjoy the moment, and see how long it takes them to reopen you. Do that until you can do that successfully. If you get nervous, they're going to probably want to pull away. If you stay calm, solid, and relaxed in your body, they're probably going to re-engage you. That's what happens most of the time. Walk away from a girl that you've had good rapport with, and then come back over while she's talking to some new guy, and then see if you can ground and pull her back to you without saying a word. Practice being comfortable in the silence and in the pauses, and that's how you'll pull her in. Okay? So that's all I've got for now. And yes, you're going through an evolution. It sounds like you're doing pretty good. If you can ever get out to a live event, I can tell you better, because then I can see all your subcommunication, how you're being, what you're saying, what you're doing. And then it'll be much easier to make corrections. So I'm doing this based on these comments. But thank you for writing a nice, detailed, deep comment. The last one for today, and then we're going to finish up. This is from the Mr. Gasoline. For some reason, when I've decided to approach a girl, I usually can't do it, and I have missed so many opportunities because the environment is too busy, or the time for talking would be limited, and there are too many people around who could see me and her, as I'm afraid of other people and what they think about me when I talk to her. I feel like I wouldn't be afraid of talking to women if I were in an isolated room with just me and her. Are there any ways to improve myself, or is this just something normal I have to deal with? I'm not sure if if you have a video about this thing already. I might have a video about it. I've done so many videos I can't remember. So you're just afraid of being seen. And that's really what it boils down to. You're afraid of being seen with your emotions and expressions, your turn-ons, your wants, needs, and desires, a little bit of the nice guy syndrome. You need to go out and practice being seen a little bit at a time. Like if your threshold is like you draw a line in the sand, right? And just get a little past it, and then a little past it, and a little past it, and keep pushing it until you can get more and more comfortable. So I have a lot of videos on going out and desensitizing to approaching. Watch those videos. Check out the ones we've got in the membership site. Check out some of the newer ones we've got in the YouTube channel. And start practicing being desensitized. But what you really need more than being desensitized to approaching is being desensitized to being seen. If you can find it, look up Brad P's 18 Degrees of Desensitization online. It's a great practice for being seen. But put yourself through a series of exercises. Get like a free hug sign and go out and do that for a day. And that's you expressing emotion and a certain level of vulnerability with strangers and holding the free hug sign up and getting hugs, and watch it. Even have friends videotape it, put it up on YouTube, let other people watch it. Create your own YouTube channel. That'll get you seen. You'll have comments galore, and you'll have negative comments and positive comments. And you just learn to let it all go. Go out and practice. If you're afraid to be seen, maybe you go out and dance in public. Go out and find people that are dancing, dance, or maybe a musician that's playing. And if you're the only one dancing, that's even better. That way, everybody can watch you. Go out and give a speech. Stand on a park bench and give a tiny 5-minute speech to start with, then a 10-minute speech to start with, and start building up your ability to be seen in that way, a little bit at a time. We do a lot of this kind of work with you guys because it's so important. And you guys are standing there as a cute girl at a cafe with 2 of her girlfriends, and you won't go over and say anything because you're afraid of what they'll think of you. You won't even ask her a quick question because you're afraid of what they'll think of you. Now, with women, walking over and talking to them, the key is start small and build your way up and progressively build it up. Don't spend a lot of time thinking about trying to seduce her. If you're scared to be seen, it's overwhelming. Just get over there, ask her the time, ask her directions, ask her something, about something that's relevant in the topic. Do that every day for a week. Do it like 3 times, 5 times a day, every day for a week. Walk over to a woman that's in a group or around a group and just ask a quick question and walk away. And then the next week, make it a tad harder and a tad harder, maybe 3 days and a tad harder. You'll get bored if you keep doing it. When you get bored, make it harder. And if you get bored, make it harder. Ask a second question. But what you want to do is make sure you're relaxing into your body. Don't do it from here. Make sure you can feel all the way down the core of your body. You can look her in the eyes. You can ask this quick question, then move on, and continue moving on. Now, I know that's a quick answer, but there are detailed exercises. Again, Brad P's 18 Degrees of Desensitization. Rejection Proofing is another interesting book that talks a lot about this stuff. And what I'd recommend, again, if you really want direct feedback, where we're going to teach you how to feel right down your body and how to ground this stuff powerfully, get into at the Fearless Man Live in July, or the one we're going to be doing in Vegas, which we'll be announcing more about later. They're not that expensive. They're only $97, and you get to come out to LA or Vegas, and you get to have some fun, and you get to meet like-minded men that are doing the same thing. And you get direct feedback from me or one of the coaches. You'll definitely meet me, but you'll also meet some coaches that have gone through all these steps that are phenomenal at this stuff. And if you really want to change your life fast, there's no better way to do it than to get live instruction. That was one of my beliefs. Now, this is probably the most important piece. Get around people, whether it's us or somebody else, it's already being the way you want to be, doing what you want to do. In the next 5 years, you are going to be as successful, confident, whatever, as the top 5 people you hang around with. So when I wanted to resolve this area of my life, the first thing I did was surround myself with people that were already successful. I went out and found them. I made friends. I went out to workshops and network. I didn't just sit at home and read and try to apply it on my own. Unfortunately, that doesn't usually work for somebody that's got a lot of work to do in this area. Get out there and do it. Okay. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this. I have to get to a meeting. It's 11:02. Going to meet the famous Zam Perrion. And Dave over here has been kind of managing the operations in the background. So here, I'll turn. Say hi, Dave.
What's going on, guys? I'm a little sick, but doing well. Thanks for watching us every Thursday, and we'll see you next Thursday.
See you next Thursday. As soon as we get back from Romania, we'll get the time more standardized again. But we're doing the best we can here. I'm sure it's late at night or early morning there. So I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Have a beautiful night, day, morning, whatever. And remember, only the confident really live.